A very good morning to all my dear students. Today we are going to start with chapter number 8, The Glory of Bharatvarsh. This is a chapter in which we will be learning about ancient India and what changes have been come in modern India. We have already learned a lot about ancient India in our previous chapters. This is only the gist that we are going to study again. I want all of you to sit with your textbooks and your pencil or pen to mark the important points while watching the video. This is the part 1 in which we are covering the half of the chapter. Rest we will do next week. Hope you'll enjoy the video. So let's start. Chapter 8, The Glory of Bharatvarsha. We have learned about history of ancient India from Stone Age to 8th century. We have gathered information about the rulers and the heritage of various ages. India is a huge nation like subcontinent. Since ancient times, people of various tribes and subtribes have come to India as they were attracted towards our prosperity. Due to this, the diversity of Indian culture creates a confluence of diversity. Jawaharlal Nehru has called it unity in diversity. We will gather information about art and architecture and social life of our country. Ancient India, the agricultural part. We get maximum food we consume and things that we use in our daily life from farm products. Farming began in ancient India. In those days, all various tools and irrigation facilities were also used and developed for farming. Even during the ancient time in India, many crops such as wheat, barley, jowar, millet, sesame, peas, etc. were grown. They were cultivated. In Harappan culture, plough has not been found among the tools used in agriculture, but plough-shaped toys has been found. So it can be said that they are using plough for farming. Use of iron tools had been increasing in the field of agriculture. It continues axes for clearing forest and front portion of plough used for ploughing soil. In addition, they were familiar with sickle, axe, etc. It has been observed and studied that without rich villages it was very difficult for kings and their kingdoms to survive. Therefore, just like new tools and seedlings, the agricultural part, the irrigation part was also important at that era. Many seedlings and tools were developed for agriculture irrigation, which also proved to be very useful. At this time, canals, wells, lakes, and artificial reservoirs were created for irrigation. The village life during ancient India. Life in the village of North and South India will be discussed in this video. The head of the village was called Gram Bhojak in northern India. Usually, people from the same family remained on the post for generations. This post was hereditary. Gram Bhojak used to be the biggest landowner in the village. This landowner used to keep people on rent to do farming. King also gave him responsibility of collecting revenue. Gram Bhojak was supposed to look after the law and order situations in the village. There were three types of people living in southern India: the big landlords, small farmers, and landless laborers, also known as servants. Life in town, most of the cities were capitals of Mahajanpads. About 2500 years ago, these cities were protected by fortification. Spherical wells have been found from many cities, which were also known as wells. These wells were used for toilets, drains, and dustbins. People in rural area and urban areas used wheat, barley, rice, milk, curd, ghee, fruits, etc., and meat and fish for eating purpose. Usually, men and women wore two clothes. The cloth that they wore on the lower part of the body was called nevi, and the cloth worn on the upper part of the body was called vas. Sometimes they wrapped a cloth like dupatta around the upper part, which was known as adivas. The art in ancient India. Historians has divided the art of ancient India into two parts: fine arts and performing arts. Fine arts included drawing, painting, literature, architecture, music, clay art, etc., while performing arts included dance. In performing arts, they included dance and drama. The literature which was written in India is divided into three sections: the religious, the non religious, and the descriptions which were given by foreign travelers. In religious text, it talks about the Vedas, the four Vedas, that is Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samveda, and Atharveda. In these Vedas, it is said that Brahmins were of the utmost importance. They were the people who used to tell they were the people who used to tell that how we are supposed to do prayers and paths, so that yagnas, so that we can reach to the moksha or the salvation. Apart from Veda, there is also the books we know as Ramayana and Mahabharata, which tells us about the ancient history of India. Ramayana talks about the moral standards and social life of people in the form of Rama's story, whereas Mahabharata tells us about the politics and the wars and battles, which is also in earlier times it was known as Jai Sanhita. And it also talks about the religious literature. We have Upanishads. There are 108 Upanishads of original Indian compilation, in which kathas are given of various gods. It is said that there are 18 Purans which are of very much importance. They are Vishnu Puran, Garud Puran, Vayu Puran, Matsya Puran, and finally the Bhagavad. We also found the information about life and religion of Buddha and Jainism. We learnt about the Triptikas, the Buddhist texts. There are 3 Buddhist texts. And we also learnt about the Jain text, which are religious Jain texts. These texts in Jain are called Agam text. There are 12 Agam Granthas. The ancient Jain literature is divided into 14 Parvs and 12 texts, that is Anga. The main texts include Agams, Acharanga, and Vitalik Sutra. Okay, so these were the Jain texts. Non-religious literature. The literary text whose content is other than religious are called non-religious literature. They mostly include poems, dramas, accolades, grammar text, and smritis. Smritis are Hindu law text. They include Manusmriti and other smritis in it. The law text, which was written by Vishnugupta, also known as Kautilya, the name of the book is Arthashastra. A large number of plays and poems were written in ancient India. These include great poets like Mahakavi Bhas, Kalidas, Shudra Bharvi, etc. Among such important epics, Abhigyanam Shakuntalam, Raghuvanshanam, Meghadutam, and many others of such kind are included. In South India, a special literature called Sangam literature was composed. It was composed in first 3 centuries. About 1600 folk poets composed heroic poems in 3 sangams. Sangams means meetings in Madurai. In this literature, Shilpa, Shilpadikaram and Mani Mehakkalai are very important. Best grammar text in Sanskrit is Panini's Ashtadhyayi, which was composed in 5th century BC. Citation of poetry and text developed greatly during Gupta age. Hari Sen was writer of Samudragupta's Prayag Prashasti. Veer Sen Sabha was written by Prashasti of Chandragupta II of Udaygiri. Bana has praised Harsh in Harsha Chitra. Description which was given by foreign travelers, as we all know that many foreign tourists have been coming to India since centuries. You have who have written their travelogue. Now travelogue is the travel guide which they write whenever they visit a city or a place. So whatever they see or they experience or they learn about the place, they write in their travelogue. These travel logs gives us information about Indian culture and life of people. Among such travelers, Greek ambassador Megasthenes, who lived in the court of Chandragupta Maurya, is very important. He has written an excellent book named Indica, from which we get information about Mauryan age. Similarly, a book written by Greek sailor Ptolemy about geography gives us information about ports to India. Fa Hien, a Chinese traveler who came to India at the time of Chandragupta II, and the Chinese traveler Huan Sang, who came at the time of Emperor Harshvardhan, has given a unique description of Indian social life, rurals, and culture of that time. Okay, students, I rest my chapter over here. This was the end of part 1. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you understood till the literature of India. If you have any doubt, you can write in the comment box. Next week, we will be continuing with the second part of the chapter, where we will be discussing the textual exercises which is given in the textbook. Also, I will be sharing my notes on the topic. So, I want all of you to go through the textbook, read these 2.5 pages so that you can get a clear understanding of what we have learned in the video. Video is just the gist and the explanation of the chapter, part 1 of the glory of Bharatvarsha. I hope you all enjoyed the video and have understood whatever we have covered, the portion that we have covered in part 1. If there is any doubt, of course, your comments are invited. I want all of you to join to subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon. So whatever videos are upcoming, you will get a notification for the same in your mailbox. Thank you once again for watching.